for game number 1, the tiebreaker match here for the LOL Season 3 World Championship Korea Finals. KT Bullets versus CJ Frost. And there right away, those two support bands. No shock.
No
shock at all. And
this is
Mad Life.
the KT Bullets strategy, and they take out Zyra too.
So I love that. I love that people are just hitting CJ Frost where it hurts. Look at Mad Life. You saw Zyra get banned off, and he kind of side of it, yeah.
Oh, they're going to take Lee Sin. Lee Sin is actually up. They took out Gragas, remember, in the finals.
You know, Cacaw's good on Lee Sin, but I'd be a little bit surprised because Cloud Templar is not a Lee Sin player. So they're going to lock it in. All right, so they're going to offer Mad Life Sona.
And Zac still on the table as well. This is quite an open pick and ban phase that we're seeing so far. Now, Lee Sin is typically banned against the KT Bullets because of Cacaw's strength on the champion.
Yeah, that's right. And there's a possible cinch pickup. Cacao getting a big laugh out of that, apparently.
The Sona, I fully expected the KT Bullets to pick up Sona, but I don't think they were expecting Lee Sin to get through this pick and ban phase.
Yeah, that sounds really plausible, doesn't it? I think you're right. And I would imagine they're going to lock in the Sona at least. We'll see if they do Singed. We did see Impact actually playing a lot of Singed this season, a good amount of that anyway.
And of course, Singed, a champion that Shy was famous for in Season 2, and in fact, a return to Singed just in time for the World Championship, but
there's
no
the Orianna.
Orianna.
Yeah, grabbing that for Gank by Mom. No big surprise there. Good move, I think. And what will it be for the second 2 picks for KT Bullets? Might see a little bit craziness today. Now, we did notice, and I think taking away the Lulu is a good idea too.
Someday plays top lane Lulu, guys.
Oh,
and
that's right, he does.
Someday plays top lane Lulu as part of a fast push style of strategy. So that's not entirely out of the question here, considering that fast push, the really hard shove into those early turrets during the laning phase is what KT Bullets love to run, and we could see that Aatrox pick up.
Well, we'll see. Changing it around at the last moment. 15 seconds to go. Plenty of time, though, in Champions terms. And seeing that Fiddlesticks Karthus it would seem reasonable.
It would. Ryu has long been a Karthus player. Could be. Yeah. They could pick up an Ezreal too, Ryu. And the rest of the Bullets, very fond of those double AD compositions, generally speaking. But Ryu that Fiddlesticks, they eventually drew bans on that Fiddlesticks in the finals against SK Telecom because the push came too fast and too strong for SKTT1 to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, SK Telecom were down 2-0 in those grand finals last Saturday and eventually came back, but they really had a hard time with the Fiddlesticks. Looks like it may be a Twitch pickup to go along with the Sona in the bot lane. We'll see.
I'm a bit surprised that Frost isn't trying to deny the Caitlyn pick.
I was going to say, yeah, that seems like it'd be a safer way to go. There's Shen. Could either be for Shy or Cloud Templar. Cloud Templar, you don't see Shen a lot in the jungle anymore, but Cloud Templar is a very notable Shen jungler. But probably going to be going to Shy this game.
And interestingly, Shy played Shen in all 3 games against the Bullets.
That's true.
In the semifinal, and he got destroyed by Insect Zac.
You know, the top lane pick is still open for KT as well, so we'll see maybe if someday wants to try out Zac.
I would love to see.
It worked really well.
Honestly, Joe, I would love to see Caitlyn Lulu right here. I really, really would. But I don't think I'm going to get that. I
don't think so
KT
either.
Bullets' days of running top lane Lulu are over, sadly.
Very sad. Lulu will come back. She's way too good to not come back into heavy use in the pro scene again. You still see her fairly consistently, but not too much. And maybe a Corki.
Wow, the Skorky, of course.
Yeah,
Score.
The Skorky of legend.
Back in Champions Winter about 8 months ago, Score used to run Corki all the time, and we actually saw him run it once this season, but that again was in the game that they lost to LGIM.
Yeah, it wasn't a pretty game. And they're going to lock it in, though. Corki and Jax, the final 2 pickups for KT Bullets.
I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle of Season 2 right now.
Yeah, really. I mean, you know, the thing is, too, is that when we see all these support bans against CJ as well, we've seen them kind of default back into that 5v5 wombo combo team fighting type of composition. And, you know, what that remains to be seen if they're going to go for that this game. But they certainly have been kind of leaning towards it. There's a Jarvan pickup, possibly.
Yeah, standard for Cloud Templar these days. Not going for the Amumu this time. So what they've done is they've set themselves up a team composition that's going to be solid in 5v5s and also great at creating picks with Shen and Twitch.
Yeah, and we've seen the type of plays that Gank by Mom can do on Orianna, so I feel like Frost going for a very comfortable composition for them right now.
Yeah, very, very standard.
Yeah.
About as standard can be for the Korean metagame right now. It's a well-rounded composition for creating picks, split pushing, and team fighting. The KT Bullets going for a composition that needs a lot of ramping time to get Jax and Karthus into their most powerful positions.
That's right. Well, see what they can do. All eyes on Someday today. He's got a lot to prove. Following up and acting like Insect is not easy, and there's our roster overall. Someday versus Shine, the top lane. Jax versus Shen. Don't know how much time I'm going to have to say all this. I'll go fast. Kakao versus Cloud Templar. Lee Sin versus Jarvan the Fourth. Ryu versus Gank by Mom. Karthus versus Orianna. Corki versus Twitch. Score versus Space. Malphon Fiddlesticks versus Sona. Played by Mad Life. Maybe we do have more time, but I just in case.
We got through it all.
Just in case. All right.
Now, we've seen them run several different champions with Fiddlesticks, the KT Bullets, that is, in that bottom lane, and they've all been very successful. We've seen Ezreal, we've seen Tristana, and now we're seeing Corki. Corki, of course, has a lot of harassment with the Phosphorus Bomb to push people out of lane and get that early turret. So I'm excited to see how this works out, but the KT Bullets going for that late game.
Indeed. Well, guys, it's time to get into the game. Game number 1 for this tiebreaker match. CJ Frost versus KT Bullets. Let's get in the game. I've got this feeling that time in the intro where we see Garen get knocked over is the only time we're going to see Garen in the World Championships. Pretty confident about that prediction there.
I think you're probably right.
But really, I mean, he could be in any bush, so we just don't know.
Wow, Gank by Mom taking a few chunks early right there from Ryu.
Pretty aggressive stuff. Kakao invading deep Someday along with him.
This is actually quite interesting. The KT Bullets typically do not invade this aggressively at level 1. They're known for their fanning tactics and their shallow wards, but this time they're putting down deep wards, including that lane ward, so they can see exactly where that 2v2 and basically the dual lane and the solo laner go and make adjustments accordingly. Someday waiting up there right next to the red buff of Frost, but I have to say, though, I'm very surprised. This is quite different than the KT Bullets' normal, safe, passive style at level 1.
And what you have to think about, too, is that they didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare anything too new from the finals until now as well. So you have to wonder just how much they kind of, I wonder with that Lee Sin pickup, if that changed a lot of what their plan was, possibly.
Yeah. Although Kakao also plays jungle Elise very good early on in the game.
That's true.
But looks like we are going to be seeing a 1v1, and look at this, Someday going for a red steal.
Yeah, trying for it, pulling that Lizard Elder into the bush. And it looks like he's going to have plenty of time for it, too. Yeah, I don't think he's going to have any opposition at all for that.
Okay, taking a look at it right here. Does have a bit of armor penetration and lifesteal here, so that's going to allow him to do this. This is a very precise move, 4% lifesteal.
Yeah. Wow, he's still going to get very low. Look
he
at
has
that.
2 lifesteal quints, looks like, or 1 and some masteries, and he is going to get it and back off.
Yeah.
So that is extremely early and a successful steal, and Cloud Templar finds nothing there. Someday heads back to lane with potions and that crystalline flask, so he'll get back up to full.
Yeah, and he's going to be really dangerous for Shy to deal with that red buff as well, too. So, yeah, this is a really good start for Someday. Sneaky, but it paid off.
Wow, really nice play. I love the level 1. You know, the KT Bullets are not known for having great level 1 strategies. They, in fact, used to die more than any other team in Korea in really bad level 1 engagements, but they started playing passively, and now we've seen them play a little bit more aggressively and intelligently.
Oh, Kakao.
Wow.
Ooh,
so the fact that he's Lee Sin and he has the red buff is allowing him to harass Cloud Templar very aggressively. So you may be saying, yes, this is a great strategy for applying pressure to Shy in top lane, but it's an even better strategy for shutting down Cloud Templar in his own jungle early on.
Yeah, I mean, it also allows Score and Mafa to have all the time they want with that really aggressive Fiddlesticks support.
That Q, max range, just tapping for a little bit of damage right there, seeing if he can get in.
Yeah.
Ryu, not quite ready, and Someday just dirty farming up in that top lane, abusing Shen's low wave clear.
Yeah. All that said, though, I mean, Shy has kept up in the early amounts of CS. In fact, 6 ahead at the moment. He will have a little bit of lead, of course, because of that red buff steal for Someday, but we'll see how much he can shut it down a little bit later on. Hasn't done too much so far, but
Cloud Templar has to be really careful.
Yeah.
Gets in and gets out before Kakao shows up.
I'd love to see the health on the bot lane turret right now for CJ Frost. See how much damage Muffin Score are able to do it. We might, almost saw it. Oh well.
We were quite close, but
close.
No cigar, but they did get some nice damage in early. They do have to deal with that sustain laner in Sona, and this is the Sona first pick, of course, was very common in the semifinal match that the KT Bullets, they tried to deny it from Mad Life, but I think that the Lee Sin coming up surprised them here. And so they took that
Kakao is right there. Space gets hit with a phosphorus bomb. Here comes Kakao. Space cleanses, tries to flash away. Score Valkyrie ahead, but can't quite finish him off. Still pushing him out of lane, getting those summoner spells out of the way. No summoners used on the side of KTB. Nice gank despite not getting that first blood.
Well, this is exactly what the KT Bullets want. They don't need to get kills in this early game because Jax and Karthus will be so terrifying late. If they can start getting their carries rolling with that global gold from towers, as well as free up emptier lanes for them to farm in as Corki and Fiddlesticks rotate over to take further towers.
Cloud Templar coming in, Counter-Strike. Oh, there we used Leap Strike, Counter-Strike right on the Cloud Templar. Someday trying to go away, Ignite ticking down. Can he make it? He already used his flash, turning around now. Crazy guy, but looks like he might be safe. Ignite, flash used. What is he doing? Coming back in, going after Cloud Templar. Nobody else is there. Interesting move. He's a very brave Jax.
Well, Shy used his flash and his ignite to try and catch up right there and deal the killing blow. Couldn't quite hit that taunt afterwards, so there's not a lot of threat. And look at that.
Gets the flash,
Someday, very smart player to keep harassing right here.
Man.
He knows that he's not in danger of dying anymore, and that he does have that crystalline flask to start healing up. He went back to base and recharged it, so he can continue playing boldly. That is a player who knows the limits of his champion, though.
I guess so. That's pretty awesome. Cow up in the jungle now, and there we go. Someday still trying to put the damage onto Shy. Still behind in CS, but with a lot of lane presence, he's been doing okay.
But again, they've been really harassing Cloud Templar, and he hasn't had a whole lot of presence out on the map so far besides that one gank up in that top lane. And as long as they can keep him down, they'll be A-okay, so.
Right.
It's about this turret here in the bot lane, really, for the KT Bullets. They need to take an advantage right there. You can see the Phosphorus Bomb harass pretty well. And not a lot of damage on the turret yet, though, so.
Yeah, I guess so. So I mean, the thing is that with that poison, I suppose Space does have pretty decent wave clear overall to keep those minions off of turrets. Not super good, but good enough. And Sona does have a good amount of poke as well that she can use to push scoring them off the back a bit. So it makes sense.
Yeah, you know, Doa, I'm just not sold on this Lee Sin first. I think there was a very low probability that Frost would have picked up Lee Sin at all. Of course, Cloud Templar not exactly known for his super aggressive jungle play, and he very rarely plays Lee Sin.
Yeah.
And on top of that, yes, the KT Bullets love that Fiddlesticks pick, but I think denying it from Mad Life was ultimately a better call right here, because the lane sustain is actually preventing this Fiddlesticks from working as intended.
Well, I'm still a little bit surprised about them letting Mad Life have Sona, because they banned everything else out, but they still left him a champion that he's very successful on. So, were the bans really worth it?
Yeah, I really think that they tunneled really hard on Lee Sin once they saw it up, because it wasn't up for them during their semifinal match against Frost. Templar here now waiting in the brush, seeing if they can get a gank. They want to shut this down as fast as possible and deny this this advantage that the KT Bullets are hoping to get in this bottom lane with the turret kill.
Let's see. Looks like everybody recalling for now. Kakao lurking in that mid lane. Gank by Mom, just going ahead and taking the Wraith, so for now.
But you know, Doa, what I love about what we're seeing from the KT Bullets with their strategy this game is they're not dependent on that fast lane push. Basically, we see Score and Maffa freezing the lane very close to their turret and being happy passively farming.
Ooh, Someday trying to take this red buff again, but here comes Cloud Templar. Someday a little bit lower on health. Here comes Cloud Templar coming in. Gets hit with the counter strike, but the red buff still putting damage onto Someday, or the red Lizard Elder anyway. Cacao coming up. Cloud Templar very low. Stand United coming in. There we go. Shen in there. First blood goes to Someday. Cloud Templar couldn't survive. He's had a bad day. And Someday even picking up that red buff through it all too.
Yeah, that's right. He picked up the red buff by killing Cloud Templar, who used his smite in order to get it. But right there, Gank by Mom did not react fast enough in order to get into the jungle right there. They didn't take that threat seriously. They thought they had Shen and that would be enough. But with Cacao there, you really can't count on that. And because...
Oh, whoa! Crowstorm in the middle trying to dive under turret and a double kill set up for Ryu.
Wow.
Really nice ultimate from Mappa.
Fantastic Requiem right there. A good combination. And they knew it was safe to do because they had just killed Cloud Templar. But that was set up.
Smart.
Cacao, due to the advantages and the fact that they took XP away from Cloud Templar in the early game, Cacao hit 6 first, and that was a big turner in that fight too because he got the Dragon's Rage off. That's a dragon as well. So everything working out for the KT Rolster Bullets. And this, Doa, is why this team is always so exciting. They are one of the most interesting, innovative teams in Korea. They don't play like any other Korean team, and you never know what strategy they're going to pull out of their bag of tricks.
Yeah, very true. I mean, you would never ever expect to see something this different after seeing the finals just, what, 4 days ago now?
Very different level 1 strategy, very different game plan to neutralize the jungler, very different picks even.
Well, I can promise you CJ Frost was not expecting this.
Well, yeah. I don't know how they could have been, honestly. They can expect Ryu to play Karthus. They can expect Cacao to play Lee Sin. They can expect Mappa to play Fiddle, but I don't think they thought they'd be using the champions like they are.
Very smart. And I mean, I really hope we get a replay of that. Well, we probably won't. Of Mappa in the bot lane, just because it was such a perfectly timed ultimate, too, because he did the exact right amount of damage, and he got out, too. He just kind of walked right through.
So we are going to have 2 champions, Jax and Corki, of course, building that Trinity Force this game. And as soon as that completes, that is a tremendous power spike. Yeah. It's one of the most
here he comes again.
Someday.
Jumping onto Cloud Templar, who immediately has to go on the run, and Cacao in position to zone out Gank by Mom. Gank by Mom not coming around that angle, though. Cloud Templar just taking a lot of damage, and now here comes Cacao. They can farm out that top jungle, set Cloud Templar even farther back. Wow. And I mean, it's so, I feel like this is the perfect way to play against Frost, is that you take care of Mad Life in the picks and bans, and then you take care of Cloud Templar in-game.
And not only that, but it also reveals a lot of the problems with CJ Frost.
Oh, totally, yeah.
In terms of their mid laner as well, because we see Gank by Mom just not responding,
there it is.
and Mappa goes
again.
in.
Score completely caught Crescendo over the top, but it doesn't help a bit. Mad Life trying to get away. Cloud Templar is there. Mad Life very low. Oh, the last rocket barely misses. And Cloud Templar backs up. He does not want to 1v2 that. Cacao coming in, kicks Shy. Back away from the turret. Shy taunting back in. Someday can't quite connect with that counter strike. But his safeguard from Cacao is going to keep him safe.
And I want
more pressure.
Score predicted that Crescendo too and actually flashed over the top of it preemptively so that he could finish off that kill and nearly get 2 right there as well. So
Beautiful.
Score, one of the things we've seen from Score this season is just much more aggressive style of play than we've ever seen from him before.
There's only one thing worse than having your opposing top laner farming behind your turret, is having their top laner and the jungle just hanging out there having a party. It's not fun. It's like a party you're invited to, but it's not a fun party.
It's certainly not. Well,
that's right.
Things really not going Frost's way this game. The KT Bullets just have Frost's number like they did in those semifinal matches, but they're playing it very differently, and I'm very impressed with their game plan coming in here today.
Yeah, this is. It seems like they're even more prepared for Frost now than they were in the semifinals. As scary as that is to consider, it certainly looks that way.
Yeah, it does. Well, it's also they did know that the Orianna would be picked up by GBM as well. And so by picking the Karthus, basically Ryu doesn't have to move out of lane in order to have presence on these ganks and on these very aggressive maneuvers coming out of Frost.
Yeah.
But Orianna has to rotate into that jungle in order to stop what's going on and help out Cloud Templar, but not rotating fast enough, and Ryu can sit there and farm while still providing a lot of pressure.
Yeah, well, usually everybody's worried about gank by Mom, but this time, Ryu is Mom. And he can gank from anywhere.
Well, that turret in bottom lane is on its last legs right now, or its last foundation.
Really no legs. I mean, they don't. I don't think the turrets have
its last pedestal.
Legs. That's right. Its last column.
And
maybe.
Yeah, GBM going for that Haunting Guys build again from Orianna. GBM has very unique builds for a mid laner. It's not something that we see a lot on Orianna early, but he goes for that more bursty style, and Trinity Force already done at 14 minutes for score, thanks to his 1 kill
and
terrifying. 2 assists, and he is up. Oh, wow.
Cloud Templar getting caught by Cacao in the jungle here. Cacao dueling it out with him. Cloud Templar thinking about it. Meanwhile, Someday came down to prevent Gank by Mom from helping. Shy coming down in that mid lane. Cacao wins the duel. Here comes Requiem getting Gank by Mom very low. Someday claims the kill right before Shy takes him out. Here comes Score though. Everybody jumping onto Shy. Good night. And a 1 for 3. I'm sorry, a 2 for 3 from KT Bullets.
And look at this too. Score is out farming by 30 CS. It used to be 40 before he rotated into that mid lane, but he picked up a kill for himself as well. He is absolutely dominating. He has zoned out space very hard in this bottom lane.
He has.
With Fiddlesticks, Maffa, of course, with that fear, and also the Phosphorus Bomb really doing a lot of work to keep Space and Mad Life on their toes.
Isn't phosphorus that thing that like makes other stuff glow, basically?
That's phosphorescent.
Like that? Phosphorescent. Oh, phosphorus is just a really hot metal that burns. Right?
Yes, it's
okay, there we go.
And here we go. Let's take a look at that again. Cacao in a duel with Cloud Templar. So Gank by Mom goes all in, and he has the ability to do this.
Oh, nice dodge.
This Haunting Guys actually does a lot of burst damage early on in the game. So Cloud Templar gets rocked, as you would expect, in a Lee Sin versus Jarvan matchup in the early game. But it really did help Gank by Mom get both of those kills right there in the mid lane, because he did have that extra little bit of magic penetration early, that little boost to damage.
Yeah. And it's going to be a dragon for CJ, possibly. We'll see if they can pull it off. I think KT may be just fine with putting pressure on the turrets, but here's Cacao. Okay. Cacao may be sort of the objective stealing extraordinaire, but didn't quite have the opportunity there.
Well, but the top turret is going to go down on this minion wave. Ryu and Someday teaming up to take this red buff for a pretty impressive 3rd time this game. Every single one.
Yeah, pretty devastating for Cloud Templar. Gank by Mom checks it, sees it's gone, and the minions nearly going to finish off that turret. Really, one more auto attack would do it at this point. All right, well, 1 turret to 0. Someday finally did get his down. They're going to try to push up mid lane. That turret at bot lane very low as well, as you can see. And everybody going back, so they've just kind of given up on it. This whole top jungle has been just totally controlled by KT Bullets all game long.
This is a disaster for Frost. They just haven't been able to regain it. And the KT Bullets are preying on the rookie status of Gank by Mom here and his Orianna pickup, which just didn't have that pressure, and he's just not reacting quickly enough early on.
Oh, Someday says, you want to stop my recall? All right, fine.
And Someday here is so far ahead, he can probably pick up Trinity Force when he goes back, and Shy is going to have an immensely difficult time split pushing against him, even with that Sunfire cape.
I'd say so. Oh, Mad Life. Cow just waiting, coming over the wall. He kicks Gank by Mom right back into the team. Gank by Mom with no chance. Crescendo over the wall doesn't help a bit. And Mad Life on their own. Throw Storm from Maffa, maybe a bit unnecessary, but hey, it's all right. They got a kill. It's all fun. OQ way in there. Cacao almost showing off with it, but that does get him in position to help take down that mid lane turret. Yeah, it is just KT Bullets just all over CJ Frost right now. They're more like CJ Slush at the moment.
They are absolutely melting to the Gatling gun of Score.
Yeah.
Wow, this is such a dominating performance. KT Bullets already up 6K gold, but they have total map control, and they're only going to get scarier, Doa, because these late game champions that we're seeing from the KT Bullets, having this much of a lead early on just accelerates their growth. Score gets hit by the Blade of the Ruined King, backs out.
So hard to catch him. I mean, Blade of the Ruined King doesn't really matter when you've got Valkyrie to get away.
It's good to see the Score Key back in action and actually proving effective this time.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Score Key was one of the original Immortal Score champions. You know, it was Corki and Ezreal way back when, where Score just didn't die. I think he had something like, oh, blue buff. Did he get it? He did get it. Cloud Templar. And here comes Shen. Yeah, they're not even going to risk it. Coming in, Score gets jumped on with the taunt as well. Someday coming in to try to help. A nice shockwave, though, from Gank by Mom, and Mafa zoned out of that fight very well. Ryu getting the back lines deep, doing a lot of damage with that defile. Cloud Templar finally goes down. Double kill for Someday. Cacao picks one up, and CJ on the run. As you can see, goodbye space. They're just not strong enough to handle the KT Bullets right now.
And that is an ace for 2 from the KT Bullets. And not only that, but they are just feeding Sunday more and more kills. He is becoming an absolute monster, Doa.
Surrender at 20?
Yeah.
Maybe. We've got 30 seconds to find out, but I'm thinking it's looking pretty likely at this point. Wow. Jax can hit things quickly.
Yeah, he certainly can, and it looks like Someday will be building into Blade of the Ruined King after this, so this is a straight-up damage build that we're seeing coming from Someday right now. It's a reaction to the Shen pick, because he wants to make sure that he can constantly out-duel him in these split-pushing situations.
Right.
So, of course, he gets naturally pretty tanky. He gets a little bit of extra tankiness and sustain from Blade of the Ruined King and Trinity Force, but a lot of times we see something like Trinity Force and Randuin's, or Blade and Randuin, something to make him a little more tanky for these team fights, but they're so far in the lead right now, you might as well just pile the damage onto Jax and have him carry even harder.
Quote-unquote squishy in this case and still know that you're going to do so much damage that they just aren't going to have a chance to stop you. They aren't going to be able to kill you before you get killed.
Absolutely, and yeah, he knows just how far ahead of Shy he is right now. He'll be able to shut down Stand United as well with that Counter-Strike, so no real concerns from Someday right here.
Yep. Well, it's a bit of a raffle stomp, guys, but it's only game 1. It is a best of 3. I would personally, you know, I came into today expecting that we would see game 3, expecting that we would get there, but game 1 looking pretty one-sided right now, so who knows, might be too old. I hope we get to game 3. I want to see that blind pick match.
I do too.
I feel like it gives CJ a good chance too.
It does. Of course, the first blind pick they lost in Champions was to MVP Ozone. They are 7-1 in blind pick games overall, so traditionally very strong team.
Oh, Shy has the taunt away. Can they get him? There's a slow. Gets kicked back out. That ninja's going to disappear, but not in a way ninjas usually want to.
And Ryu reacting. Mava comes in with the surprise party. He thought that CJ Frost might all in that, but with Ryu there and Score. And Cacao essentially still at full HP. Now the split pushing from Jax begins. He'll be able just to tear through these turrets right now.
Yeah, and they're going to go for Baron too. KT always looking for those Baron opportunities, and this could be a pretty good one.
And look how well they're switching off aggro right now. They don't really have a tank there. Ryu actually the tankiest member of the Bullets. But they do have a lot of damage on this. They have to watch that smite though.
Try to steal it. He doesn't. There's a crescendo. They tried to coordinate with the crescendo, but it didn't end up working out. Twitch does manage to take out Mafia very quickly, but space just get lit up. There's the shield from Shen. It's not enough. And Cloud Templar, the last to go down, a triple kill for Score.
And they
killed high score now.
Yeah, they killed the target before Shen could actually ult in right there. In the meantime, Gang by Mom was shoved off the turret in that bottom lane, so Someday managed to pick that up. So a Baron and a turret as the KT Bullets pressure multiple objectives at the same time.
Yep. Score has all the buffs now. He is the buff master.
Buff master.
Buff collector.
I like buff master better.
Better than buff collector?
Buff king.
Buff king. Buff maestro.
Score, Lord of the Buffs.
Lord of the Buffs. That's right, he doesn't wear a shirt, but he wears like a belt buckle that has like all the buffs on it, you know, it's like the 3 circles.
We'll have to get that made for
It's
him.
not quite as cool as Lord of the Dance, but it's close. All right, well, let's check it out. Let's see Cloud Templar try to do it.
And they tried to.
It was a good attempt.
It was a good attempt, and they did what they could, but the KT Bullets were well prepared for this, and Score is just doing so much damage right now. Nice exhaust out of space, which allows Score to get right in his face with that Valkyrie. Now the channel comes in, doesn't quite channel long enough to make it, and there we see Score just picking up the triple without Shen there to tank some of that damage. Easy cleanup for Score.
With Trinity Force and Last Whisper, and I think he had the BF sword, he might have just picked that up, but that is a lot of damage coming out of Corki right now.
Yes.
It's pretty terrifying.
It is, and Cacao also has that Aegis of the Legion. Cloud Templar struggling to build it, and of course, against champions like Fiddlesticks and Arthas, that Aegis pretty darn important, and even more important to get that locket so you can try and survive Requiem with your team.
Right.
Just not quite getting there though, and with Score already having Last Whisper and probably building into Bloodthirster now, this is just an absolute massacre.
Maybe a little too late at this point for CJ Frost in game number 1. Wow, plenty of wards over the wall there. Not overkill at all.
Well, you need them in case they actually have an Oracle or something. It takes that many more auto attacks to clear them out. So.
Well, I think the best part is it just gives Cacao a lot of opportunities. Never mind, Crowstorm comes over. There's a nice crescendo, but the damage very high. Twitch manages to kill him off again, but Ryu getting back, chasing away space. Score coming in, nearly kills him right there. Oh, the rocket doesn't quite do it. A double kill. Look at the damage from Ryu. There's a big symptom of that Aegis not finished yet.
Well, look at his items. He's got Rod of Aegis, Seraphs, and Needlessly Large Rod at 24 minutes into this game.
Needlessly high damage.
Not even counting his nearly 250 CS score that he's got.
Exactly.
And now 7 turrets. I mean, this card, his power curve was drastically inflated.
Shy just getting destroyed by Someday. Flashing for that kill. Finishing off the unofficial ace. Doesn't matter though, the game is over. There goes the Nexus turrets, and there goes the Nexus. GG, KT Bullets takes game number 1 in this tiebreaker best of 3, and man, did they look good doing it.
KT Bullets, Noah, what is so interesting about this team is they have a style. They do. They push turrets very quickly. They're very aggressive. They will all in you in very, what appear to be unsafe ways. They don't mind making a trade 2 for 3 though. They're very aggressive about their dives. But they have so many different ways to do what they do that it's very confusing a lot of the time how many different champions they can play in very similar styles with subtle adjustments. And